What's up, guys? My name is Jay Dennis, and I'm going to start off this video by repping Chinchillin at Chinchilla Studios apparel, along with Adidas, of course. But this is where I'm getting my Sabotaged EP mixed and mastered. I just talked to my boy yesterday. He said that he would get started on it this week. No other projects ahead of me. So the remaining 3 tracks off my EP will be mixed and mastered starting this week. Hopefully it'll be out in a couple weeks. So, as originally promised, it is going to be a summer release. Don't have an exact date yet, but it's basically in the final stages of being done. So, Sabotage is coming out soon. But anyway, what I want this video to be about is what are my musical tastes? Because they've evolved over the years, but at the same time, I look back on all my stages of music enjoyment happily and I still like everything I've ever liked. So to start, basically being raised in the 90s, my biggest exposure was like No Doubt, boy bands. Like my first CDs were like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, Will Smith. But what really got me into nu metal and like my biggest stage of music enjoyment and my current project was just nu metal, late 90s, early 2000s. Linkin Park Hybrid Theory was my first start, but of course I had heard like Limp Bizkit and Korn growing up too, so I was really big on that, but I didn't have any albums. Mostly just had Linkin Park, and I got a guitar when I was 13. I was obsessed with Sum 41, so we're going from nu metal to like alternative rock, pop punk, whatever you want to call it. Old school pop punk. Like Blink-182, Sum 41. Really liked Green Day. It inspired me to pick up guitar. But then I started to want to get better at guitar, playing solos and everything. So, 9th grade, I got into thrash metal, and then I got into metalcore, and then I got into deathcore. Still like all that stuff. Still love death metal. Still love deathcore, hardcore, all that stuff. That was actually a big part of my music writing from when I was in a band from ages 14 to like maybe 20. Oh, there's my cat. Hello. Well, let me get him situated. Okay. This is where he's used to. Alright, so this video is going to now feature my cat. So anyway, I've been a solo artist for the past couple years now, since 2012, and I've gone from writing like deathcore style stuff with an influence of post-hardcore, alternative, but now I'm realizing just how much I've always tried to write hooks and catchy riffs. I even tried to write riffs that people would have a hard time replicating or playing. A little bit of a swing into it, so no matter how rhythmically big it was, I would try to add some sort of lead element into it. But my recent stuff has been very rhythm-based, but I still have melodies and harmonics and all that other kind of stuff. God damn it, he's got to play with everything on the desk. He's just one of those cats, but he's perfect. Anyway, so that's just a little brief history. I basically have explored all realms of metal, rock, rap, of course, hip-hop. But if you were to say, Jay, is there music you don't like? I would mostly say I don't like country, and I don't like new age electronic music. I say I don't like EDM a lot, but I want to clarify that if you add vocals or guitars to anything, I will like it. So, you want to take, really bad country music, but you want to make it more southern rock, I will appreciate it more. I will appreciate southern rock a lot more, always, than country. I cannot stand country music. It's terrible to me. I just think it's a very lowbrow form of music. And there's no elitist sense of superiority here going on. I know everybody connects to music on different levels. Like, today I was listening to Crazy Town, which is, Millennium Band. But they put out an album last year called the Brimstone something. Fuck, what's it called? But anyway, it's got a lot of techno influence. Hardly any guitar compared to their old work. But I love the rappers. I want to give this album a chance. And I found that I really do enjoy techno and electronic music if it's accompanied by good vocals and occasionally a little bit of guitar. So I'm not totally turned off to techno or EDM music, but I like really intense dubstep with heavy drops. I don't like that build up and then I hate that shit. I hate when there's a build up but then it's nothing. Like if you do that in like rock and roll, that shit's funny. And it kind of fucks with you and it's kind of clever sometimes. But ultimately, if you're going to do a build-up, but then just drop it down to this with lack of instrumentation via beats, then that's where I don't like it. Brimstone Sluggers, yeah, so Crazy Town reaffirmed that I enjoy listening to techno music or electronic music. I deeply appreciate beats and all that stuff and everything they do, but I just need some good vocals to go with it because it's going to be rare that I need to listen to a whole album that's instrumental. So I don't dislike classical music. I don't dislike jazz. I don't dislike a lot of these old school, old age genres or art forms, but I don't pretend that I know a lot about it. I don't. I have 100 CDs on that shelf right there that range from pop to rap to mostly metal, a lot of new metal, to death metal, to some of the heaviest, like out of Satan's asshole right there you've ever heard. And like Maroon 5, there's just all these CDs. There's a couple of top 40s, a couple of like now CDs, older ones though, because I prefer older pop music. But ultimately, I mostly listen to Korn, Limp Bizkit, Deftones, Crazy Town right now. And for all you new metal snobs, I do appreciate a lot of the underground new metal too, but there's a reason why the big bands are the big bands, because they pioneered a sound and they made it incredible. A big band I'm into, not a big band, but an underground new metal band that I'm into right now is These Five Down. I got one of their CDs coming in the mail. I'm excited for that. I love that album. Came out in the millennium. And what else? Aside from new metal, my favorite genre or era of music was the mid-2000s alternative boom, as I like to call it. When like bands like My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, they were still relatively young and new before they ever like did any serious, like basically 2005. Any alternative bands that were on Fuse and dropping their major sophomore or freshman releases, debut videos that were just big, I thoroughly enjoy that era of music too. Sum 41 has a song called Subject to Change, which if you listen to the guitar work and the way the riffing is, I call that alternative. Alternative can mean a lot of things, but to me that's the embodiment of what alternative means. Like Sum 41's Chuck album is what alternative is to me, and that's like one of the greatest albums of all time in my opinion. Like, take 5 albums with you onto an island, it would be Sum 41's Chuck album, hopefully with the Japanese bonus tracks because that has Subject to Change. Love that shit. But the rest of that album is 8th grade angst that just makes me so happy. I could do a whole video on that too. But then of course, plenty of new metal albums like Limp Bizkit's $3 Bill Y'all, before they got all cheesy with their music. If you don't like Limp Bizkit, I recommend listening to that album because there's a lot of pioneer work on that album, and a lot more respectable Fred Durst going on if you take him seriously. Or just listen to their non-singles; they're really good too. Same thing with Korn. If you're not a big fan of Korn, there's some bands in any genre where their singles might not say everything about them. You know, my mom told me, "Oh yeah, when Prince was big, you had to listen to his B-sides because, you know, his hits were big, his hits were great, but if you really wanted to hear the depth of his music or like the best stuff, you had to listen to the B-sides." Just like in this day, you would just say, "Hey, I want to listen to the non-singles on the album because that's where a lot of the beauty is." But then in a lot of cases, sometimes a band's single or a one-hit wonder, there's a reason why that song is up top because that's the best they could do. So, anyway, I just wanted to share with you guys where I get some of my inspiration from. I didn't mention Architects. I have one tattoo. It's the Architects logo from Hollow Crown. That would be part of my metalcore or metal time. Still love them. Still getting their new album. I just think nu metal is the best because it is so heavy but catchy. It's the hooks. It's the way the guitars are. I just love the way rap is infused into a lot of it and sounds really good. And just you use guitar effects properly, you can really highlight the creativity and not just be like a technical machine, which in its own respect is good too. But I just want to say that if you're a person that's just really big on your one genre, that's totally fine. But I think that if you listen to a lot of different styles of music, you're going to be a lot more open to stuff. But don't just listen to all these styles for the sake of listening because you feel like you have to. Oh, my iPod has everything on it. Like, we've all been that guy. And by the way, if somebody's sharing music with you and they're trying to like really show you like a part that's really special to them, really listen. Like, get off your phone, get out of your head. If somebody's trying to show you something musically, like, oh my god, this part hits me right here. They do that shit, like, listen, because that's how you connect with somebody. That's how music connects people. So if somebody's trying to show you a part of a song that you've never heard of, and you're like, what the fuck? What is this? Dillinger Escape Plan? And somebody's like, oh, this part right here, that little, even if it's just like a little bit, like, you know that person a little bit better. So, anyway, I'm going to go do some laundry. My name is Jay Dennis. This was just me talking about music, and I'll keep giving you updates on the EP and doing a podcast tomorrow. So, peace.